Hello, and welcome to topic 5 of Learning Aim A, Modern Technologies. Today we're going to be focusing on inclusivity and accessibility. We have two key learning objectives for this video. The first one is we need to be able to describe how modern technologies have aided inclusivity and accessibility, and then we need to be able to describe the positive and negative impacts of modern technology on organisations in terms of inclusivity, accessibility, and finally remote working, which we looked at a little bit in the last video. So let's take a look at the accessibility content now. On this slide we have three input devices. First one is a game controller, the second one is a keypad, and the third one is a voice input device such as the Alexa that you may have in your house. What I'd like to have a think about is what would each device be used for? Who is the intended audience? So who would be the people who would be using those devices? And what features have the designers had to include to make them more accessible to the users? Hopefully some of the answers on this slide are aspects you considered. Let's go through one as an example. So the second picture was a keypad entry for a cash machine. The audience intended for this would be anyone with a bank account who is entering their credit or debit card inside to either withdraw money or check their balance. Now there will be many features the designer had to consider to make them accessible to different people, ranging from the clear text, so allowing people to see clearly what the text actually says. If you use a poor font design, people could struggle and could end up pressing the wrong button and therefore being upset with the output that happens. You may notice on the cash machine keypad there's also notches similar to how we mentioned on the keyboard in front of you. So if you place your fingers, you can feel for where the buttons are located to support you with your needs. There are lots of different features and tools that are integrated into devices to support people with different needs. One example would be if you looked at your iPhone right now. If you go into the settings option, you will notice there's an accessibility tab. In here, there are many tools and features that support people with different needs, ranging from vision, physical and motor, to hearing. A lot of the common accessibility features that devices use nowadays range from text-to-speech, which allows the written words on the screen to be spoken out. This audio allows people of hard sight to hear what the information says. You may have noticed magnifier on your computers or your devices. As shown in the picture, the Stocks app has a magnifier around it to enlarge that section of the screen. Adjustable font size. If you increase the font size from size 7 to size 20, that means people of hard sight can now read it. And bold text or other formatting features such as underlining or italic to make things stand out that are key. There are many different types of users for each device that is sold, and some users may have physical disabilities which prevent them from doing daily activities in the same procedure that you would use. In an iOS device, such as your iPhone, these devices have the following option to change how users with physical disabilities interact with them: switch control and assistive touch. I'd like to spend a couple of seconds trying to see if you can work out what each of these tools would do. So, a switch control allows you to control the device with an external switch which allows you to use a different part of your body. So if somebody has a physical disability where they cannot use their hands, they can then use their tongue or their feet to control that device. And in assistive touch, this allows you to have on-screen menus that allow users to press the buttons on the screen to perform a gesture. Another example of being used would be if you were to break the actual physical button on your device, you can use assistive touch to replace that damaged button to allow you to control the device and gain entry. Let's take this theory and apply it to a case study. So, a company called Browse Aloud has a web page that allows text-to-speech to be used, so any text on the screen is read out to the user. This works by the text that is hovered over being enlarged and magnified and then read out through the speakers. It can also read documents such as PDF or Word, and the text that is hovered over can also then be translated into the user's language. So if they are from a different nationality, they can see the text on the screen, which they can't understand. However, the verbal communication then puts it into a language that they do understand. What does this type of software do, though, if it finds an image? Have a think. When text-to-speech software is used and an image is located, it uses something called image alt tags. Now, web pages use alt tags to show alternative information about the image. As you can see in the example, the picture on the device has a caption, "A beautiful sunset on a beach." So therefore, if the person could not see the picture on the device, they could be read out the description and understand what picture was currently on the screen. A little fun task for you to now attempt is we're going to look at the topic of colour blindness. In the circles on the screen, what numbers can you see? And once you've had a look and seen what numbers you can see, what features do you think could help people who have colour blindness to know what is on the screen? There are many display accessibility tools that can be used to support people with colourblind issues. The three we're going to focus on are colour filters, grayscale, and intensity. When we use colour filters, this allows the user to select what colours can be used or seen and which colours should not be used as they wouldn't be seen. This is designed for colourblind people to support them in their needs on the device. Now, grayscale removes all colour from the screen. You may have noticed this when you print your work to the printers in school. If you select the grayscale option in the printer, the work will come out with no colour. And then the intensity levels can reduce the brightness of colours. This means that if you are a user who has often headaches, then you can lower the intensity level to make sure that the brightness of the colours is dim, to therefore support you with your headaches. A little bit of a challenge for you now then. I'd like you to look at the mock-up design for the mobile phone on the slide. And we're going to be using this device with people with poor eyesight. Can you give me two features of the design which makes it accessible for the people with poor eyesight? And can you consider 3 improvements that could be applied to the device to make it more accessible to those users with poor eyesight? You may have noticed a lot of features that support the users with poor eyesight on the designed phone. You may have noticed they used icons, so people could actually see the different icon they could click to open up different applications. You may have seen that they had large text for the timer, so that supports people with their poor eyesight. They know what time it is on the device. And the icons were colourful and bright, and different colours used, so therefore show a different contrast, so you can clearly identify the start and end point of each icon. When considering improvements, there were many points you may have raised. Some of them could have been the small text at the top. You will have noticed the percentage was really small in font. And if you're a user of poor eyesight, you can't see how much battery is left on your device, so you wouldn't know when to charge it and therefore have the problem when it's run out. You could have a user adjustable size for the text and icons. If the icon size was too small, by allowing the user to increase that size, this means they can then increase to a size that is suitable for their needs. You may have had a magnifier option, where if you place your finger over an icon or the text, it could then come up with a magnifier to enlarge that section, or it could have come up with an alt text style information where it tells you the app name over the picture. And you could also think about the text on the weather. It may have been small fonted, and therefore people again could have struggled to read it. You may have noticed there was 3 circles as well for the 3 different menu pages. These were quite close together, so the small distance may mean that people with poor eyesight may end up clicking the wrong button and get frustrated when they can't get to the menu that they desire. There are many things you can do to the layout of an interface to support users with disabilities. One tool could be a screen reader, where it reads out the web page so they can hear it with verbal communication. Another aspect to consider could be that your web pages need to be able to support smaller devices. As mobile phones and tablets are getting smaller and smaller in size, your web page needs to be able to fit on that screen in a manner they can still read it. And also, if your device can rotate, then you need your web page to be able to support that rotation so your text doesn't become too small so you can't read it. And finally, applications need to have buttons that are large enough for the audience to click. You may have noticed on some of your applications you've used previously, or on your text messaging feature, that the buttons are small and located close to each other, which means you can often struggle pressing the correct button. When you're typing a message, for example, you may type a word and incorrectly include a letter that you didn't mean to, just simply because of the size of the button. It means that your fingers press something you didn't intend to. When designing an interface, it's also crucial to consider the selection of font style and colours. When we was making an interface for our presentation software, we had to consider which fonts we used to allow our users to read the information on each slide. Which of the following fonts would be easiest to read on the screen? You have Arial, Blackadder, and Jokerman. Now, although you may think that one looks more pleasing to your eye than the other, if you was a user who had some issues with your eyesight, then clearly one of these fonts will be more clear and usable to support those users. As just mentioned, the text style plays a significant role in how successful an interface is designed. Another feature, however, is colour. If you take a look at the three screens below, what makes the text hard to read, and how could a better use of colour make it clearer to read the screens? Now, you may have found that hard to read the screens due to the colour used on the different devices. This is because colour has a meaning even if we don't recognise this. Take a look at the stop sign on this slide. What's the problem with the road sign? Hopefully you will have recognised that the sign had a green background, whereas stop signs usually have a red background because the colour red represents danger. This is from using colour meanings to get your message across. What meanings do each of the following colours have to you below? There are many different meanings for each colour that we use. Take a couple of seconds to make some notes on some of the key colours and what the meanings of those colours are. The final part of this video, we're going to look at accessibility. Now, one key term is flexibility. This is allow things to change and not be rigid. And when we think of flexibility, we use it in relation to location and time. How does modern technology allow businesses and workers to be more flexible in where they work and when they work? Work flexibility. Many jobs require workers to work specific hours on a set weekly basis, such as 9 AM to 5 PM if you're a teacher, for example. They may dictate that you have to work in a specific location, such as a certain office building. If you took a job at BT, you may find that you are recruited to the Doncaster branch near the lakeside, which means you'd have to turn up to that building every day to complete your job. What could two types of people be who may find this difficult? There are many people who could find difficulties in going to a set building for a set hour each day to complete their job. These people could include people recovering from an illness or an accident, people with a specific disability that means that they cannot travel and are housebound, or when they got to that location, they may need specialist facilities such as ramps on doorways or elevators and not stairs. There could also be people who need flexibility in the hours that they work. This may be due to family commitments. For example, they may have to take their child to nursery and therefore cannot start work at set hours such as 9 AM. They might have relatives that they are looking after and therefore need to be there to support them. Or they may have just flexibility in which days they can work. For example, they may not be able to work weekends or specific days in the week. By using modern technology, people can now change where they have to work. The IT systems enable people to work anywhere where they have an internet connection. And this includes a mobile internet connection, such as the data that you use on your phone. Technologies that have helped people working in these different locations are voice over internet protocols, by having cloud storage and cloud computing, like we've looked at in the previous video, by using mobile broadband on their mobile phones, so they can work while they're on the train, by having portable devices that they can move around and work on, such as laptops, and by having video cameras that are integrated into their devices so they can have conversations with sound and audio to allow them to hold meetings with employers or suppliers. Not only has modern technology allowed the flexibility in location, it's also allowing people to work what hours they need to work to fit in with their routines. Many jobs are now flexible as to when employees can work. They could be known as freelancers or consultants, so they'll do the work in the hours that they desire and submit their work once it's completed. It doesn't matter when they do the work, whether that's a 9 till 5 specific time, or whether they start at 10 AM or whether they start at 2 PM, as long as the work is completed and submitted as a desired date. IT improvements and technology developments have made it easy for people to start businesses that work around their lifestyle and commitments. You can now run online shops rather than physical shops, so you can work from home. You can do IT support, so you can get that from home, again without having to go to physical locations. If you have commitments, you can fit these around your schedule using scheduling tools like we looked at in previous videos.